out of state can now clearly see the trajectory of this program versus the trajectory of the other programs.
Cornball. that was so corny, man.
It really wasn't that corny.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. He didn't have to do that.
He didn't have to do what specifically? Which part?
Well, I get it. It's a perfect opportunity to promote where you're headed, trajectory. Hundreds of recruits were at that game, so you have to. It's a good marketing strategy. You have to take advantage of the moment, So from that perspective, it wasn't corny. It was the right time to do it. Now, in the manner that he did it, is what I found corny, But that's just me. I'm a Knowles fan. If you haven't noticed.
Oh, I've noticed.
For those of you out there who haven't noticed.
I don't think it was corny. We're going to get into it. Go ahead and do the rest. Yeah, we'll get into it.
Welcome one, welcome all, welcome near, welcome far. Welcome to the world's greatest sports podcast. The Somebody Said podcast. We're missing Pump this week, but me and Breeze will hold it down. 2-man weave this week. We always get it done, make it happen. We're going to talk some college football. There was a game Saturday. Some would regard as the biggest game in the state of Florida. One of the best rivalries in college football, maybe in sports. At least we do. We think that way. There were some other games out there we'll talk about in college. Also, we'll touch on NFL. The Bucs, man, they're looking like they might be on a decline after starting out really well. We'll touch on NFL. Asha's got a gripe. We're going to save baseball. Hopefully the Yankees could pull it out so Pump could come back on here and talk some baseball with us. So we'll save baseball. We won't talk baseball, even though I know, Breeze, you watched that first. At least you watched the first game, right? I know you probably haven't watched the last two, but that first game was a doozy.
I've watched pieces of all three games, actually.
And you
I've not
tweeted
watched any
in
of
the first
tonight's game, though.
Yeah, me neither. But you tweeted in the first game, there's not a lot of runs. This is boring.
It was 5.
That's not what baseball's about.
Innings in, we were 4.5 innings in, and it was boring. Come on, it was boring. 4.5 innings in that first game. It was a boring game.
You and I aren't baseball fans, so let's just preface it by saying that we're not baseball fans. But I thought it was entertaining because there's something about watching two really good pitchers go at it. There's different levels of entertainment when it comes to baseball. Yeah, casual fans such as ourselves, we want to see the long ball. We want to see some action. But, baseball heads out there, Pump included, a pitcher's duel is always a good matchup as well. And for that game to end off on a walk-off grand slam, what better way to kick off that series? The Dodgers, they're up, 2-0, 3-0 now. So
3-0. They're up 3-0. Though they are losing so far tonight. So we'll see if the Dodgers are able to close it out. But yeah, they're up 3-0 in the series. Listen, it was a slow start to the series. You got two incredible teams, really, really good teams with some good pitchers. So yeah, there are going to be lulls in the series. There's going to be times where ain't a lot of runs being scored, even in the games that were maybe a little more entertaining throughout. You still haven't seen a ton of runs scored. Like it just is what it is. I mean, that's just baseball, though. That's high-level baseball being played into a casual fan, into the masses. It's not very exciting. It's like watching a defensive struggle in football. Most people don't want to watch that. Yeah, unless you're a football junkie and you can really appreciate the nuances of defenses and defensive schemes and guys shedding blocks. But yeah, most people don't want to see that, man. So, it kind of is what it is. Baseball, they know what they are.
I can see that. And that's enough baseball, especially for me and you. I think we went over our baseball talk for tonight. So we'll see how that series ends up. We also will touch on a little bit of NBA basketball. Our Lakers, they're looking pretty good to start the season off. They lost last night. Me and Clint went out and said we taking Braun off our parlays moving forward. You can't count on them to hit them numbers.
Yo, this parlay ban list. At some point, you need to put together like official. We need to get like a graphic made of the ongoing parlay ban list and all the guys that y'all have added to it?
Bam Adebayo, Jaylen Brown. It's a list. It's a
Jason Tatum.
list. But we'll touch on it. But our Lakers, they're doing pretty good so far. Before we get into all of this, let's shout out the sponsors. The Red Lady Rum Punch, the official beverage of the Somebody Said podcast. Drink it, pop it, sip it, enjoy it. Check them out at 81 different locations from here to Georgia. Also, we were sponsored by Window to Wall Solution, where they build a dream home for a reality price. From the trap to the top, they got you. Also check us out on our website at ssbsports.com. You could write an article. I'm sure Doc, she's itching to write a Miami article about what went down on Saturday. She actually inboxed me, said if you were going to the game and everything.
I heard she hit you up.
She seemed pretty confident, and as she should have been. So I'm sure she'll get an article up on that website. And all you other Canes fans, write what you got to write about us. Throw your Earl memes out there, whatever you got, throw it on the website, man. We'll read it.
I might do an article of literally just the Earl Little memes that came out.
It's trash how y'all doing that kid, man. It's trash.
Hey, never go against the family, kid. He had every opportunity to be a Cane, and he was too good for us. Where's the guy?
I'm glad y'all couldn't do that to Dalvin.
Yeah, no, we definitely couldn't do it to Dalvin. But times have changed.
Hey, man. Hopefully it's not for the long haul, but we'll touch on that. Check us out on the socials. Check us out on Instagram at Somebody Said Podcast. Check us out on Twitter at Somebody Said Pod. And subscribe to the YouTube channel. Watch us live, interact with us. Subscribe at Somebody Said Sports. And without further ado, let's jump right into the game that was this past Saturday. The Miami Hurricanes take on the Florida State Seminoles at home, packed house. Whenever I hate to throw this term out there, whenever the box office boys, we have.
No way you still claiming that, bro.
You got to, man.
There's no way you still claiming that.
Whenever Florida State comes to town, that Hard Rock's gonna be packed out. So packed house. Miami went ahead and it was a slow death for us. 36-14. There at one point it seemed like it was a game 7-17, but that's just for casual fans that were watching. Breeze, you tweeted it in the middle of the game. You could pick or choose how you want to die, and we chose the slow death. We weren't gonna, and we didn't. I'm gonna call you out. We did not play prevent. We did not play prevent.
Public apology. So I publicly, me and you had a little back and forth during the game. I said really that Florida State. It was a short discussion.
Yeah.
About Florida State's defensive strategy. I said that they were in a soft Teletubby zone. I was wrong. You were right. It was man coverage. It just happened to have too high safety on 99% of the plays.
I mean,
no, it wasn't zone, but it was still soft coverage. It was can I just call it like it was? Is that okay?
Go ahead. That's fine.
The defensive strategy was to keep from getting blown out. You keep two high safeties over the top, so no explosives, no deep shots. Make Miami be efficient and effective. You guys dared us to run the ball. It shortens the game. Miami ended up with only 8 possessions on the game, which is kind of what you want to do. If you are in a position where you feel like you really can't go blow for blow, you want to shorten the game. So they came out with a strategy to shorten the game, and it worked in a certain perspective, where Miami did not have a bunch of explosive plays. They did have to run the ball. Now they ran the ball at a very efficient clip, but it makes drives take a little bit longer, and it shortens the game up. It shortens the number of possessions both teams will get. And so I think it worked from that perspective. The goal was to do that. I think that worked. It was a little soft, I mean, it wasn't, it wasn't no haymaker by any means, but I get it.
Yeah, and when you look at this Florida State team, especially on defense, the worst part of this defense is up the middle of this defense. The teams can run the ball at will against us. So I don't necessarily know if either strategy would have worked. If we would have, brought the safeties down to try to stop the run, then we leave our corners exposed, which I probably would be okay with, because I do think we still have some of the better cover guys. It hasn't been on display all year because we've been so bad. But I think when you look at and this is probably the only compliment that I'll give this team, is the secondary is pretty much, held their own. They're probably one of the bright spots. But, when you're on a bad team, it doesn't look as good. So I think if we decided to try to stop the run, I think that we still would have lost, maybe by more, because our defensive play calling isn't that good. No matter the athletes we have on the outside, Cam would have picked it apart, and we chose to slow death.
Yeah, and I think
So
your DBs are pretty good. I think your corners did pretty well, all things considered. Cam threw for 208. His QBR is the lowest on the season. 208 is his low mark of the season. I think the corners did a pretty good job. There's been conversation because of this game. Are can Miami's receivers get separation against better corners in man coverage? So I think your DBs are pretty good. But yeah, from the standpoint of going into the game and all right, how do we want to do it? We want to be aggressive and give Cam opportunity for explosive plays. Well, explosive plays are demoralizing. Nothing will
right.
make a defense quit faster than getting bombed over the top for 40, 50-yard plays. And it opens up the door for a lot of touchdowns, which that keeps the crowd into it too, right? You want to try and go into, if you're going into a hostile environment, you want to take the crowd out of it, right? You want the crowd to kind of get a little bit bored, get a little bit mellow. It's hard for the crowd to sustain sometimes that energy in a slow moving game. So I thought the strategy made sense. I agree. You guys were probably going to lose anyway. The talent disparity up front, more than anything, I thought was the crucial difference between the two teams in that game. So, you know, what is
So
the old saying? It's um down on your feet or live on your knees or whatever it is, something of that sort. Either way,
mhm.
the end result was going to be the end result, and one way maybe just kind of delays the inevitable.
And let's shout out Mark Fletcher, and his pops passed away. He got the first touchdown, went 15 for 71. As a whole, that running back room, both running backs had 15 carries. Dave Martinez had 148, 2 touchdowns. Um, and it's just kind of what this Miami offense is at this point. They could beat you however you want to get beaten. So they're not, you have to score 30 with this team, at least 30 or more. And going into this game, even if we got into a quote unquote shootout, I don't think we haven't scored, I want to say 20 points all season. So there it was just a lose-lose. It's just how you want to lose. There's not much from a Florida State standpoint to look to as far as bright spots. You could throw Luke Croman out there. He came in and he didn't, you know, showed anything crazy, but at least showed that the moment wasn't too big for him. Kid was just out there, bright eyed, just trying to make a play, and he made a couple plays here and there, but it wasn't nothing to really harp on. You see the potential there, but in that kind of game, in that kind of atmosphere, you don't expect a kid to kind of go toe to toe with Cam Ward and that Miami team. But if you wanted, as a Florida State fan, throw out a bright spot, you would want to say that. But outside of that, there's really nothing that you could look to. Receivers wasn't making plays for him. There was one play where Hakeem one on one. It was underthrown, but he missed times his jump early on in that game where he could potentially make that catch and have one guy to beat. And when you got wide receivers that aren't making plays for younger guys at quarterback and how this offensive line is playing, it's gonna be a long night. So there's really nothing I could look to as far as the Florida State Seminoles to say, hey, this is something we could take away and build on. If anything, it's demoralizing as a fan. Let's just call a spade a spade. Like, every year at least you look forward to this game. Even if you're having a down year, it's like, all right, let's just beat Miami. Let's just beat Florida. I wasn't excited for this game at all. I still
Yeah,
watched. You still got to watch as a fan, but it's like you don't get that same excitement because you already know what's going to happen. So this is like the first time maybe ever that I've never been up for a Miami game. Like I wasn't excited for this game.
I can understand that, and I don't think you're wrong by any means. It's definitely been, well, obviously the roughest season you guys have had maybe ever. I'm pretty sure this is like the worst
It's
season in
bottom of the
modern
barrel.
history, at least.
Yeah.
So on that note, and we don't have to spend a whole lot of time on this game. On the comment that we open up the show with, the trajectory comment, I feel like you feel like it's corny, but do you think he's wrong in what he was saying? That the way it looked that night and the way this season kind of is going, does it feel to you as a Florida State fan like that the two teams are going in different directions?
So I mean, it's corny. But I thought Mario, he's an opportunist, and that was the perfect time to say those sentiments, because every recruits are going to see it. They're going to eat it up. You got to commit from Clinton Portis's kid that same night. The
That was gonna happen anyway, but yeah.
Tony, the guy, the receiver that decommitted, recommitted the next day. So it's just gonna. Why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah.
My thing is, the thing that I found that was corny, just was how he did it. And to answer your question about these teams headed in different directions, it's really hard to say. I mean, it looks like it, but as much as Florida State fans want to give Mike all the gripe, and I think you should, because you saw this during camp. You have to kind of give him a chance to right the ship. As hard as it is to say, like Mike could have said the same thing after going 13-0 and beating Miami, but he's not Mario.
He should have. We're being
He's
honest.
not wired to say. He probably should have.
Probably should have said it. Yeah.
Mario wasn't showing no mercy. Even at the end of the game, y'all were still trying to put up points.
We were running the ball, though. We were out there throwing it all over the field.
Mario wanted to run the score up. He wanted to run the score up. And I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it.
I do have to push back, though. I don't think he was trying to run the score up, because several times where we got into the red zone or near the red zone and it was 4th and short, he very well could have went for those, and I think we would have got him, and he chose to take field goals. Like, if he really wanted to run the score up, I think there was opportunity to do a little bit more of that. He settled for 3. I mean, really, you come on the second half.
So with that, I think he was just trying to make sure the game was in hand. So he was trying to extend the lead as much as possible.
I don't think so. I don't think it was about making sure the game was in hand, because while I was there sitting in my seat, was quite frustrated that they started playing backups in like the second possession on defense. And I wasn't a fan of it. I'm like, the game is not in hand. Why are we playing backups? I'm seeing freshmen out there who shouldn't be out there. So to me, I don't think it was that. I think, honestly, he had opportunities to make this look worse than it did. Now, does that to say that he completely took his foot off the gas and he was in coast mode? No. But I think he realized that he could it would be a statement when your offense wasn't really threatening us very much. I think without the 42-yard quarterback sneak that turns into a big gain, that you guys would have been under 200 yards, or maybe around 200 yards on the game. I think there were ways that he really could have been a bag about it, and he didn't. Because on some of those in the red zone, 4th and 3s, I think we absolutely would have got him. He could have went for those, and he chose not to.
I mean, we could agree to disagree on that. I felt like he was trying to prove a point that, because let's be honest, a lot of Miami fans, including me, you, and Pump, we thought this game would be much more of a blowout, and much more of a up and down, down the field on the Miami end of things offensively, and it didn't go that way. So I think Mario was trying to add a little extra on the end, which is fine. But back to the post game comments, I thought it was perfect timing. I don't disagree with anything he says, because you guys are on a different trajectory. Not that I don't think Mike could easily come back, or whoever it is. Who knows? Mike might not be here, depending on how the rest of the season goes. But with the state of the transfer portal and everything, you could easily rebuild your team that quickly. So to say that, you guys are on a different trajectory. The trajectory could change, like, just like that, within a year. So, but from a recruiting standpoint, you have to say that. But I just hate the banging on the table and the tough guy act. Just cut it.
He's always like that. I mean, you probably just don't watch a lot of his stuff. Or maybe that's just who he is.
All right. I mean,
Maybe.
what was your thoughts on it before we move on?
See, the delivery of it is weird. I think Mario's delivery on a lot of stuff, especially when he's being emotional, it comes off just like clunky. I don't know. It's just not very smooth and well delivered. Even like, we beat Florida and he like does the gator chomp and like breaks it over his knee. That doesn't really make sense
It's
to
corny.
break a gator chomp over your knee, but I get what you're trying to do.
It seems
And
planned.
I don't think it is. I think it's like in the moment and he just does this stuff because the really cool thing, and I mentioned it last week, he played here and won a natty here. He's from here. So those feelings are real. Like he hates Florida State. He hates the University of Florida. So I think when you get a big win, especially after he's taken some bad losses at the hands of Florida State, the emotions are going to be high. And it's an opportunity to send a message to recruits. I think it was just in the moment type of thing. I think he probably pre-planned to make some sort of a statement like that to the recruits because he's always thinking about recruiting. The delivery of it comes out clunky, but a lot of his delivery, especially when he's fired up, comes out a little clunky. So I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised it came out the way it did. But I think the point of it got where it needed to go, and he'll continue to use that as leverage or out on the recruiting trail.
And of course, the national media is going to eat it up.
I think a lot of people thought it was clunky and weird too, but people get what he's doing and they understand it. I think that's what it is. Like people understand it, regardless of was it cool or did it sound right or how did it look. It's a little awkward to stare into the camera. It's awkward, but
Yeah,
get what he's trying to do, and
and
it's
he
probably
he
going to work.
accomplished it. Yeah, I
I said
mean, it worked.
it's
So
probably going to work.
yeah. So before we move on quickly, how does the rest of the season look for both these teams? I'll start with Florida State. We have UNC, Notre Dame, Charleston Southern, and Florida for the remaining of our schedule. I think we lose every single game except for Charleston Southern, which will put us at a 2-win season for the Florida State Seminole. UNC, you could maybe say that's a toss up.
I
Notre
do.
Dame, we're just not physically to the level that they're at, and we can't compete with them. They could just line up and just run the ball all game and beat us. Florida, they're playing better than a lot of people expected. Their
For
defense, they're
now,
competing. Their defense, they're competing. You got your guy DJ Lagway at quarterback, who just has that gamer about him, that moxie that you want at quarterback, and his wide receivers are making plays for him. And we're talking about Florida State here. We're not talking about Florida beating up on the SEC, but if you had to call one game, I'm taking Florida at just based on how they've played. They're probably not more talented than us, but they look like they're putting out more effort on each Saturday. So I'm only seeing one win on the rest of the season for Florida State.
I'm seeing two possible, or one for sure and one possible. I think you guys can very much win that North Carolina game. I don't think North Carolina is all that good, and it's at home. And it's before a Notre Dame game, which is going to be very, very tough. Probably will be a blowout in some sense of the word. So I think you can get that North Carolina game because the crazy thing is, I don't think the team has quit. And the same thing for
No,
Florida. They haven't quit either. Now, I don't know if they will have quit by the end of the year. I guess I can say the same thing for you guys too. I don't know if those guys will have quit by the last game of the season, but it is a home game. It is still against Florida. There are guys on your roster who are playing for draft stock. They're playing for that next level.
they
They're
need to
playing
come
to
back.
get drafted.
They need to come back. I saw Pat Payton's Pro Football Focus rating, and he's at the bottom end of the country as far as a defensive end.
I don't think
Uh,
you even with a rough year, I don't know if you can afford to come back if things don't get markedly better. Because
yeah,
then you'll just continue to slide. At least some of them can go right now on potentials and the body types before it gets like, hey man, 2 years worth of bad product on the field, you're going undrafted. I don't know.
yeah.
Some guys will have to make some business decisions. So yeah, I think I see a Charleston Southern victory and potentially a North Carolina win.
You think you see? All
No,
right,
no, I see. No, you'll beat Charleston Southern, and I think you can beat North Carolina.
all right. Miami has Duke, Georgia Tech, Wake Forest, and Syracuse to round out their season. How do you see this going?
They should win each game. They should. Now, if this team is legitimately different than Miami teams of the last 2 decades, they'll do that. Will it always be pretty? Probably not. I do think we beat Duke comfortably this coming Saturday. I think Duke's 6-2 record is fool's gold. They've been, I hate to use the word lucky, but they've just seemed super, super lucky, man. Like they shouldn't have been in some of those games. SMU turned the ball over, I think, 6 times last week, and it went into overtime. That
They were
game
trying to
shouldn't,
give us the game. We just
you know,
didn't
like
take it.
yeah, like literally tried to give away the game, and Duke still couldn't take the game. So I don't think that game will be close. But Georgia Tech is tricky if Haynes King comes back healthy. He's been out. I don't know if a lot of people pay attention to Georgia Tech, but when he's healthy, they are a tricky offense to face. And then Syracuse, Kyle McCord has been very, very effective. He's been putting up really good numbers on the season. Syracuse as a
He
team
also
isn't all
threw
that
6,
great.
what was it?
He
Like
did throw
5 or 6 picks?
3 pick-sixes this past Saturday. But of course, when Miami comes to town, as we've seen, teams are literally emptying the clip. We've seen Cal have their best game of the season against us. Virginia Tech had their best game of the season against us. I don't think it's just because Miami's not good in those moments. I think those teams are literally saying, hey, this is our opportunity to get a big statement win against a top 10 ranked team, call all up stops, fake punts, fake field goals, going forward on 4th downs every chance they get. Literally, teams are emptying the clip. So we got to go to Syracuse at the end of the year. And yeah, Syracuse is going to be looking to get an upset. But again, Miami is more talented than every team left on our regular season schedule. This team should absolutely be playing in Charlotte for the ACC championship game if they are different than the Miami teams of the past.
I think you've passed every single test on your schedule. It's I don't want to use the word coasting to the finish line, but it's
Nah,
literally. I mean, in the sense, it's you look at the teams on your schedule. You literally just have to play mistake free ball. Just show up every Saturday. Don't take anybody lightly, and play your game, and you should finish undefeated. And
gotta
looking
show up
at not only going to Charlotte, who I think you'll play Clemson,
potentially.
and
Hey, don't sleep on Pitt. Don't sleep
stop it,
on Pitt.
stop it.
And SMU does not have to play Clemson or Miami. So SMU could also end up undefeated. It could get weird at the end of the ACC season. Could get
All right,
weird. I think the Big Ten could also get weird.
all right. Let's keep it moving. And I see you got Heisman campaign.
You
Is
see it?
Cam still on pace to win the Heisman
I
in
think
your
so.
eye?
I think so. Ashton Genty looked a little mortal this week in a UNLV matchup, and they've
They gave
played.
him 35 carries.
I mean, would you not? I'd give him 40. I'm giving him the ball constantly. If I'm not handing it to him, throwing it to him.
Yeah.
So I think Cam's still on pace. Again, it's been a quarterback award for quite a while. For somebody other than a quarterback to win it, you got to do some ungodly things. Travis Hunter, I think he is a special talent. We haven't seen anything like him in a while, but it's just so hard. And also, he gets dinged up. He missed time in games. It's going to be hard for him to win it. A running back, people just don't appreciate running backs the way they used to anymore. So Cam is on pace currently to do as good or better than I think the last 3 Heisman winning quarterbacks from a passing statistic standpoint. And if we do go undefeated and he continues to put up those kind of numbers, it's going to be hard for somebody to get it over him, especially when the national media has been giving him so much attention as well.
Right. And especially if you make a playoff run and potentially go to a national championship. How do
Correct.
you not give it to him?
Correct.
All
So
right, I hate talking about Miami this much in
eh,
this manner. You know, I like the old days better, but Pump, as Pump would always say, it's always good when Miami is college football is always good when Miami and Florida State is
and
good.
there you go. And
And we
Florida
still
State.
haven't figured out that formula yet, but hopefully we bounce back next year.
Yeah.
Moving on to this Texas, they survived Vandy. Vandy's been playing some tough football this year, man. It's not the Vandy of old. What's gotten into Vandy this year, man?
Diego Pavia. It begins and ends with Diego Pavia. So shout out to him. Shout out to the portal, giving a kid like that an opportunity to be on a much bigger platform. You do not want to go have to play Vanderbilt in Nashville. You're going to show up. I don't know if they feed people Nashville hot chicken the night before and the team showing up with the bubble guts and Diego's just taking advantage. But in all seriousness, this is a good team. Shout out to Clark Leah. Shout out to Diego Pavia. He's a very confident player. He's a very talented player. I can see him maybe portaling again somewhere after this season, going to an even bigger program and doing maybe even more. Maybe he pulls a Riley Leonard. He goes from Duke to Notre Dame. I can see Diego Pavia being in the portal, and maybe next year he's playing for Alabama.
And
Or maybe next year he's playing at another program that's, bigger than Vanderbilt.
And as much as we bash the portal, I think these are like some of the success stories that you want to. That these are some of the good that the portal could do. A kid that you don't even know about, a Cam Ward, like
Yeah.
the portal does so many good. We bash it for people getting lost in the portal or people not staying committed to schools, but there's a good side to it. And as much as I want to hype up Diego, I want to knock Quinn Ewers. I can't hype one guy out without knocking the other, and I think it's deserving at this point. You committed to Ohio State out of high school. You left there, came back home to Texas, one of the highest rated quarterbacks ever to come out of high school. Regarded as the next Pat Mahomes. And to this point in his career, I haven't seen anything where it screams first round draft pick or it screams even an NFL guy. He'll get the opportunity just off of the skill set alone. But I think you sent us a stat where he's averaging what, like 5.9 yards per throw.
Yeah, which is the worst in all Power 4.
Yeah, that's not going to get it done at Texas, and especially in the Steve Sarkisian's offense. I think it's time to just pull the plug on him. We've seen enough from Quinn Ewers where it's let me see the kid. Let me see Arch Manning do his thing, because at this point in his career, he's in year 4 now in college. So
this is year 3.
Didn't he
Started
redshirt
2 years he redshirted his first year at Ohio State, and he's been at Texas 2 seasons.
No, so year 3. You are who you are at this point. We know you're a strong arm kid, but having a strong arm doesn't necessarily win games at quarterback. You have to know how to pick defenses apart down the field. And to have a stat like that and you're so talented, it doesn't make sense. And I think Quinn Ewers is holding this team back. That's the one piece that has to get the engine rolling. And he's not doing what he needs to do, because this is I think you and Pump agree that this is a national championship caliber team, and he's the one that has to lead this team to a national championship. And you're in a dogfight with Vandy. I get it. Vandy's got a tough, feisty team. Diego's doing his thing, but at the same time, it's Texas. It's unacceptable.
No, I don't think you're wrong. We were having a conversation about Quinn Ewers, and I think I'm going to just stick with my comp. I think he's a Derek Carr, where, yeah, he will do the job. Hey, just get the ball to the athletes. Get the ball to the guys who are the stars, and you'll be just fine. He's never going to win anybody's MVP. He's not going to win the Heisman. He's barely in the race. I don't even think he's 5th anymore. I don't even think he's top 5 in Heisman odds anymore, because
he was number 1, right?
Well, Carson Beck was 1, and he was right up there too. People were talking about the two of them are, top 2 on the quarterback draft list, and they've both fallen off, because I think the book is kind of getting out where it's like, yeah, he can get the ball to athletes, but he's not going to go win you a game.
Right.
Like, I don't know if I've seen more than 2 games where I'm like, yo, Quinn really was dicing them up. Like, no, it's Quinn in Sarkisian's offense getting the ball in space to premier athletes who are going to be NFL guys, and they make him look good. Again, 5.9 yards per attempt. Like, that's high school stuff. That's borderline triple option stuff. Quinn Ewers,
I can plug SJ in there. Just throw it to the flats. Get it to the guy, let him make a play.
Just get the ball out to these guys that are running wide open and let them go make plays. So, yeah, I think Quinn Ewers deserves to get some flack, and if they don't win a national championship, I think a lot of the blame is going to fall on him, and it's probably deserved. Also, I mean, the running game, they are in some ways feeling the effects of not having those stud running backs that they thought they were coming to the year with. So their running back, who was the leading rusher this week, was Wisner. He went for 79 yards on 17 carries. And I don't believe it's the offensive line, because I think that offensive line is pretty good. They don't have the running backs that they thought they would have. There is no Seth Baxter. There is no, I think his name is Jaden Blue. And the last name is Blue. I might be wrong on the first name. They don't have those premier guys right now at running back either. So then now more has to be on Quinn's arm. And I don't think he's the guy that you want doing that.
And again, it's Vandy. you could say you don't have the running back,
Hey,
but
man.
I guarantee you their fourth string running back is better than Vandy's starting running back. You shouldn't be edging out a win 27-24 against Vandy. But
Well,
nevertheless, a win is a win.
don't do that. It's every SEC win is gutsy. It's a ballsy win because it's in the SEC.
Yeah, I mean, it's a
to
dogfight
Nashville.
every week.
Good
Yeah.
grief. Yeah, and they get no flack for for barely winning against a Vanderbilt team that already had a couple of losses. But let you not be in the SEC or the Big Ten and you lose a close game against a conference foe, and all of a sudden you squeaked out a victory. It was ugly, but they got it done. Like, get out of here.
Yeah. It's crazy. So are we looking at any of these Texas wins funny in the light now? Because Michigan isn't who we thought they were, and here you are barely beating Vandy. Is it too early to kind of look at them funny, or are they still legit as far as being a national championship contender?
I think they're still a national championship contender because I do think that is a really, really good roster. I think Steve Sarkisian is one of the best coaches in the game. And I don't like the revisionist history thing where all of a sudden, like, yeah, they went and beat a Michigan team. And is Michigan the 2023 Michigan? No. But I think Michigan's still a solid program with good players. They got guys that are going to be drafted very, very highly, especially on the defense. Do I think they're a flawed team at the same time? Yes. And winning's hard, right? And I know I just kind of went on the sarcastic spiel about gutsy wins versus ugly wins. Winning is just hard in college football. So if a team is finding ways to win games week to week, I think that means for something. And kudos to them for doing it. They are flawed, but I think every team in the nation is flawed right now. Oregon is number one team in the country. I don't think Oregon's a perfect team. Ohio State, clearly not a perfect team. They just squeaked out a win over Nebraska. Miami's certainly not perfect by any means. That defense gives up way too many explosives. We saw Georgia get, almost half 100 hung on them by Alabama, who turned around and lost to the Vanderbilt we just talked about. So I think Texas is just as flawed as everybody else, but I think they're just as good as everybody else as well.
And I think this is the parity that we've all been waiting for. It's not perfect, but you don't know what team is going to do what on any given week. When Bama beat Georgia, we thought they were going to take up the mantle, and they've been looking shaky. So
yeah,
for all we know, Miami's the best team in the country.
I would push back on that, but hey, listen, you never know. 12-team playoffs. Sometimes it's about getting hot at the right times.
Speaking of a team that they always try to push to the front of the pack, LSU went down to Texas A&M. Breeze, do you believe in this Texas A&M team? They've only lost one game. They're sitting at 7-1, and this is on their first year head coach. And I don't think he's got nearly the team that he desires on having down in Texas. Do you believe in this Texas A&M team?
I believe in Mike Elko. And I said it coming to the year, I'm like, look out for Texas A&M. Mike Elko had Duke playing good football. And I don't know how many times any of us have ever been able to say that. I'll be 35 in a few months. And I don't know how many times I've been able to say that Duke was playing good football. But Mike Elko had them doing that. The defense is going to get it together. He's going to have a disciplined team that just plays sound ball. I believe in Mike Elko, and you've given him the resources of a Texas A&M. I'm not surprised to see them winning ball games. They lost to some guys in the portal. Some of that was probably addition by subtraction. Jimbo was not running a clean program where guys were disciplined and handling business. You want some of those guys to leave. Yeah, are they talented? Sure. But some of those guys also didn't land anywhere in the portal. Some of them just ended up going home and they hanging out on their mama's couch on Saturdays right now. So he was able to retain enough talent. I'm not surprised to see Mike Elko winning games that people thought he would not win in year one. I think people are very worried.
Yeah, because the thing that's impressive about this Texas A&M team is how they're winning games, and it's physical ball. They're not a high-powered offense. They completed 8 passes that game, and won 38-23. So to the fact that
starting quarterback in the process,
exactly. So the fact that they were already taking on the personality without the personnel it's
hard.
Might have to save that one.
Yeah, you gotta keep that.
Yes, but it's to change a culture that fast without your guys. everybody better look out. On the flip side of things, though, I'm sick and tired of LSU being pushed to the front of the pack prematurely. We get it. Brian Kelly, he's a solid coach, but he's correct me if I'm wrong. Is he mid at this point as an
No, you're
overall
wrong.
coach?
I gotta stop you on that
I'm
one.
wrong?
Yeah, you're wrong. He's not mid.
What has he done to be regarded as such a high level coach?
The thing that you have to appreciate, or the thing that you have to understand, I think the conversation about Brian Kelly is not too different than the conversation about Penn State. Are they winning national championships? No. But are they really good every year? Yes. Brian Kelly is going to have a really good team every year. Are they going to lose a couple of games? Also, yes. Is he also
sounds like our guy at Penn
games?
State?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So, like, it's a lot like the Penn State conversation. Brian Kelly's going to have a really good team every year. He's going to win double-digit games. I think in the last, I think it's like 15 years or something, he's never won less than double-digit games in a season. Brian Kelly's always going to have a really good team. They just ain't going to win a national championship because they're going to lose to some people. And that's okay. He's not the GOAT, but he's also not mid. He's a really good coach.
It's mid because you mentioned that he has really, really good teams and he has really, really good years. But when you have really, really good teams, you have to go over the hump at least once. And I don't think he's done that. You got to at least win a national championship.
I mean, he has no excuses now, right? At Notre Dame, there was a limitation on resources, a limitation on the amount of talent that he could accumulate because of Notre Dame and what it takes to get into that school. He has no excuses at LSU. LSU, as we've seen, can win national championships with different coaches of different types. So you have everything at your disposal. You got to go get it done. First of all, I do want to shout out to Cuban Kane in the comments. He said the key to Mike Elko is Tommy Moffitt. He was the strength and conditioning coach with Butch Davis. So I did not know that. That's a dope fun
fact.
Shout out to
Cuban Kane.
Yeah, shout out to Cuban Kane. Shout out to Tommy Moffitt, who, if he was the SC with Butch Davis, we know what those Butch Davis teams were like. He manufactured the greatest college football team of all time in the 01 Hurricane. So shout out to Tommy Moffitt. Shout out to Cuban Kane. Appreciate you coming in and dropping a comment, bro.
Question for Cuban Kane. Obviously, he's a Kane fan. How do you think the Canes are going to end up the end of the season? Are they going undefeated? Natty, ACC championship? What are they doing the remainder of the season?
That's bait. The fact that you threw the Natty in there, you trying to bait him in the sense crazy. So
I want to hear what he's got to say.
You're
interaction phase of the show.
You're a receipt puller just like I am. I know what you're up to. Cuban Kane don't fall for it, bit dog.
I got my screenshot ready. All right, but yeah, man, they gotta. What do you say?
You say,
man, y'all don't want my answer. Yeah, we want your answer. Submit your answer.
Go ahead and drop it.
Yeah, man. Do you put Brian Kelly on the hot seat, or is it like too early in his career? Because we're talking Baton Rouge right now. Before we move on, they're not gonna go for these mid seasons that he's been having. You had Jaden Daniels, Heisman winning trophy quarterback, and you didn't sniff a SEC championship at least.
I think he's fine. Winning a Heisman is a big deal, right? Winning a Heisman does a lot for a coach and a team's perception. So the fact that you got another trophy in the building automatically will get you time, because also you have to win a certain number of games to win that trophy. So I think he's fine from that standpoint. They got Alabama this week. If they go out and they beat Alabama, whatever negative feelings people are feeling about that loss to Texas A&M is going to go right out the door, because that is more times than not your regular season Super Bowl. So you go out and beat Alabama, people will forgive you for that USC loss at the beginning of the season. People will kind of excuse the Texas A&M loss. They'll start making arguments for you. And if he does that, he likely will go on to win double digits again, because after Alabama, they got Florida, Vanderbilt, and Oklahoma. All teams that they are better than, all teams they have more talent than, all teams they have a better coaching staff than at the moment. So they could very well go on and win double-digit games again. And so, yeah, like Brian Kelly's fine. You got to beat Alabama this week, perfectly fine. He might get a raise.
So Brian Kelly, he's just gonna ride off into the sunset of mediocrity, which is
it's not mediocre.
We don't have to harp.
We cannot blow our nose at double-digit wins. I'm not doing this with you for another.
Why not? We could say that for another pod, but you could definitely blow your nose at double-digit wins. It's not that hard to do in college football.
it is that hard to do in college football. From a person who is a fan of a team that is a national brand, we've had one 10-win season in the last 20 years. Yeah, bro, winning double-digit games is a big deal. And
We could
especially
have
if
that.
you do it consistently, like every year, you walk into the season knowing we're gonna win at least 10 games. Now we just gotta go steal 2? Come on, man. That's not mid, bro. That's not mid, and it definitely
All
don't
right.
get you fired.
All
And
right.
Cuban Kane said we're gonna be the ACC champ, and Cam
Hot
does
take.
not play in the
That's
playoffs.
a hot take.
That. No, I ain't with that. There's no way he gets a chance at the playoff. He sit out. That'll kill his draft stock. You gotta play.
I don't think Cam is wired that way. He's too much of a competitor to not only win an ACC championship, potentially win Heisman, and then just shut it down.
Yeah, no way.
He's going for it all. Like, you got to think about where
So.
he came from. He wasn't a 5-star. He's not privileged, so I think he's still got a lot to prove. So
Kids are
that'd be that'd be disappointing.
okay. We gotta keep rolling though.
Breeze, we got to preview this State Penn State game, but do you have any other college news you want to talk about from this past week before we kind of preview that game?
No, I think that was all the big stuff that happened. I mean, it was a slowish week. I think now we're about to potentially get some fireworks and things are going to ramp up. Teams are getting the meat of their conference schedules, and that's when you start getting some weird stuff happen. So I'm ready to move forward. I think we're in for probably some fun stuff this weekend. I would imagine.
I mean, this game alone, Big Ten, you got the number 3 team versus the number 4 team in the country.
Mhm.
Ohio State with the freshman sensation who he just scores every week at this point. The kid out of Miami, he's just a different breed. JJ Jeremiah, yeah, he's just different. Penn State, I don't know too much about this offense or this defense. So I don't know if you could enlighten us with what to look for going into this game. I know Ohio State just came off of a tough one, losing to Oregon by 1 point, the number 1 team in the country. So, they've already been battle tested. I don't know if Penn State's gotten that level of a test, but they're still a formidable opponent.
Yeah, I think the keys on both sides of this game. I'll start with Penn State. They're the home team. They're ranked higher at the moment. The first thing is Drew Allard, the quarterback, is battling some injuries. He went out in last week's game. They were able to get a victory. The offense kind of continued to hum, even though he was out. But in a big game like this, you need the biggest guy on your team. And it all starts with the quarterback position. So Drew Allard's health is a really big factor in this game, in my opinion. It's the most important position on the field. Let's just call it what it is. So him being healthy is a huge deal. And the other thing for Penn State is going to be, can you take advantage of Ohio State's struggles on the offensive line? Because this game a lot of times has come down to winning and losing up front, right? Penn State has been losing the battle against Ohio State and Michigan up front most years. You haven't beat these people in like a decade. Big
Right.
part is because they have a lot of guys that are NFL guys playing college, and you just have some really good college guys. And they just beat you up front. You get bullied up front. So can Penn State flip that narrative? Can they
Right.
bully an Ohio State offensive line that's struggling? You just saw Ohio State on the ropes against Nebraska, and a questionable call to some could have had that game going in a different direction. Can you take advantage of that? You get them at home. Maybe they're reeling a little bit. I don't know. Can you take advantage of that? And in Ohio State, can you be dynamic on offense the way everybody expected you to be? You went out, you spent good money to get a quarterback. You spent good money on Quinshon Judkins as a running back. You get Jeremiah Smith, who people are calling Megatron 2.0. You got a Mecca Ibuka, who's going to be probably a first-round draft pick at receiver. You got Carnell Tate. So that offense is built to be dynamic and explosive. Can you go be that? Can your offensive line or your guards going to be able to hold up enough to do that? Because if so, I don't think Penn State can score with them. Kotelnicki's a really good offensive coordinator that Penn State brought in. But I don't think they can go blow for blow with this Ohio State team, just talent for talent. I can't name 3 receivers at Penn State.
And that's my point exactly. Like you mentioned all the time, it starts with the Jimmies and the Joes, and
100%.
I think across the board, just athletically, Ohio State is head and shoulders above Penn State. It starts with Will Howard, though. I haven't he hasn't had a Ohio State type quarterback game yet. So hopefully this is the game. There's just been a lot of throwing it to Jeremiah Smith and allowing him to do what he's gifted with. I would like to see him just go out there and pick that defense apart because he has the weapons. And a quarterback's friend is a good running game. So operating off that play action and just making the necessary throws in these type of games. They brought you there for a reason, and I would like to see a coming out party. Maybe going for 400 yards, a CJ Stroud type of game because you have the playmakers. So personally, if I had to predict the score, I don't think it's going to be close. I'm calling 35-14.
35-14? Good
yes.
grief.
I think because Penn State, they always don't show up when the lights get bright. They always, in these moments, it get too big for them. And it's simply because they don't have the playmakers of the caliber of Ohio State. These lower tier Big Ten teams, they could push around, but when it comes to going to go play against Big Brother, it's like you never win that fight. And I can't, like you said, I can't name a playmaker on that team.
Yeah,
so,
aside from the running backs, which maybe that's the way to do it, right? We've seen there are two ways to beat this Ohio State team. You either have to have premier wide receivers in a passing game that's just elite, like Oregon had, right, with several receivers that are going to be NFL guys, or you got to be able to just bully them up front the way Michigan did the last few years. That's the only ways to do it. I don't think they have the athletes to beat them on the outside the way Oregon did. So then you got to be able to win up front. So can you go out there and win the trenches, run the ball with those two stud running backs, and just impose your will? If you can, I think Ohio State will fold. But I just don't know if Penn State's going to do it. I mean, I'm with you. I'm going to take Ohio State to win. I don't think they'll win by that much because I don't believe in this offense having that type of explosion to it. And Penn State's got a good defense. They always do. But I do have Ohio State winning. I think it's going to be another ugly game. It'll be like 20-9 or 20-10, something like that, where it's just not a very explosive and fireworky type of game.
Has this Ohio State team been underwhelming to you this year based on the expectations coming into the season?
Yeah, you got no business squabbling with a Nebraska team that just got their doors blown off the week before you played them. So, yeah, Ohio State has been a little bit disappointing. That offense is supposed to be the best in the country. You went out and spent reportedly $20 million on this roster. Several guys could have went to the NFL and they didn't. You should be blowing the doors off people. And the fact that you lost to Oregon off the rip was a disappointment. This is a natty or bust team. And right now we are having very serious conversations about several teams being better than them. Exactly. It's looking like bust. That's unacceptable. Ryan Day
he's out of
here. Up on the hot seat.
He's already on the hot seat. He's out of here if they don't win a natty.
Chip Kelly, he went and hired Chip Kelly to be his offensive coordinator. Chip Kelly is licking his chops to get that job.
Right. He's next in line. But you know how I feel about Brian Hartline, too. He might be the next guy.
Oh, gosh. He's not. There's no way they're hiring Brian Hartline. But there's no way. He
I
got
see
demoted to offensive coordinator.
He's still one of your highest rated recruiters, and he brings the talent. And so, he'll always have a job.
He'll have a job.
And people are crazy enough to hire a guy like that as a head coach.
Not Ohio State. Not Ohio State. He ain't getting that job. Not anytime soon. He better, the only way he gets that job, he has to go somewhere else and win. And they would hire him back. It's the only way.
Well, I mean, might be Chip Kelly's job to lose at this point.
Might be.
All right. I see Asha's in the waiting room. Before we close out college football and jump right into NFL, do you have any other games you're looking out for this weekend?
No, I'm pretty disappointed that Oregon at Michigan really won't be a game. I expect
you
Oregon
never know.
Big. Michigan has no offense. I might as well be playing quarterback. Like, with all due respect, that offense is putrid. It's not good. They really can't score the ball. There's no way they can score in Oregon.
No,
so I'm disappointed that
upset.
Won't be a game.
Right.
Nah, I don't think so. I mean, the spread is 14.5 on the road. Like, come on. And then, the world's largest cocktail party, I'm hoping that's a blowout as well. Florida hasn't quit yet, but I think Georgia's going to break their will and probably do it a little early.
Yeah, I feel like Georgia's gaining some steam now.
Yes.
At the right moment.
Right. Sneaky game, 2 sneaky games, real quick.
What you got?
Texas A&M at South Carolina. Cocktober.
You got to stop it, man.
Be over.
You got to stop it with this
what
Cocktober.
Bro, it's called Cocktober.
Or at least pause that.
I'm not pausing it either. Cocktober will be over, but South Carolina at home is sneaky, and then Louisville going at Clemson. Louisville's got a good offense. Just a couple of games to watch.
All right. Shout out to cousin Matt. You know, his Gamecocks has been doing okay.
Yeah. Shout out to Cocktober.
All right. Well, that was it for you had to laugh on. That was it for college football. Go Noles as always.
We still got a lot to cover too.
Shout out to the Canes. We'll be back.
Sure.
Brought Asha in. Let's bring Asha in here. She's got a gripe. Let her get her gripe off, and we'll jump right into NFL.
Hi guys.
What up?
First things first. I told Unc this earlier. Actually, I told him this all weekend. I feel like Unc and Pump owe me $1 for the betting of the score this past weekend. I feel like I was the closest in everybody. They counted my boys out, and they didn't put a 40 burger up on us. So
you lost by 22 points. You don't get your score.
I had said 21-7. I said that.
You lost by 22 points. You don't get $1 for that.
I do get $1 because they spread. Unc said 49-3.
I had no belief.
No. But Vegas
I had no hope at all.
Vegas said the spread was 20.5, and we covered. You don't get nothing for that.
Yes, I do. Anyway.
I started to say 63-3, but
all right.
Two handfuls of L is
whatever.
What you get for that?
Anywho, so I'm starting on my gripe. Something like Dak Prescott. You see what happens when you get on that all lives matter stuff. That everybody should be standing for the national anthem. Blah blah blah. And the ancestors took that talent away from you. Hot garbage.
Hey now,
garbage.
You did fine for me on my fantasy team. I got a dub. I got 2
dubs with him. He trash can juice right now.
Hey, garbage time Dak points are feeding families. if you could prop bet second half Dak points, I don't condone gambling. I don't gamble.
But you got to
saying if it's there, bro, second half Dak garbage time points feed families.
You heard it here first on the Somebody Said.
There go y'all locks right there.
Lock that in.
Just get y'all locked. Dak second half prop bets.
Yes, like that man been playing like garbage juice since he tried to come out here and say all lives matter. Everybody should stand for the national anthem. Look at what the ancestors done did. Took their talent back. Now he look like Monstars from off of Space Jam. Looking like Charles Barkley out there. Like
that's tough.
It's okay. Like you gotta pick a side. The ancestor said pick a side, and you picked the wrong side, which is fine. You know
what you got for us?
Transitioning into Nick Bosa.
Oh boy.
Nicholas.
This is a non-political show.
Nicholas.
She's hijacked the show right now.
I see.
Nicholas. You know what? Not even Nicholas. NFL. I have a bone to pick with the NFL for a minute here now. So we say we're gonna boycott the NFL, all that type of stuff due to Kaepernick. We don't do it. Everybody still watch. Then you got Bozo Nick coming out there with a Trump support, like with a Make America Great Again, and nobody ain't saying nothing is quiet. So do I need to call in for the questions?
So here's the thing. A reporter tried to call him on it, and he said he didn't want to talk about it.
He said it's not the right. Well, he said he doesn't want to talk about it, but it's the right time to do it. Something to that effect.
Press him.
So they tried. So kudos to that reporter, because a lot of reporters wouldn't have gone that route and they would have ducked it. So shout out to that reporter, but no shout out to him for not standing on it. Because my thing is believe in what you want to believe, but stand on it.
Exactly.
So don't put it in my face.
Was asked about him taking a knee. He stood on it 10 toes down. He never changed his story. He never changed up why he was doing it. He said exactly why he was doing it, for police brutality and racism. Basically, these things are bad, and I'm taking a knee so we can have a better society. Now, Nick, go out there. he gets called out on one time. I ain't seen the NFL say nothing. I ain't seen the president of the 49ers say nothing. Haven't seen anybody say anything. Even Travis Kelce, you with that white lady now you want to be a white man. You need to say something on it as well.
What's Travis Kelce gonna say? He's on a whole different team.
It don't matter. I need to see you say something.
But what can you say? The man does have he has a right to his beliefs, whether you agree with him or not. He has a right to believe in whatever he want to believe in, right? This is a free country, it's a free land, and all that good stuff. My issue is stand on it. You can believe whatever you want to believe.
But my whole thing with the NFL, the whole thing they said politics that you can't have anything political on during the NFL games and anything like that. That's why they play the national anthem before it's even shown on TV.
So do we think he's gonna get fined for it? Because
no, fined for what? I mean, for wearing a hat?
Well, based on what Ash is saying, you can't wear anything political during or an interview or during a game. Is that real information though? Is that legit?
You cannot do that. After the whole thing with Kaepernick, you cannot have anything political during the NFL games. That's why that's why the national anthem is played before it's on TV.
We ain't pressed Tom Brady for having that MAGA hat in his locker.
Who, me? That's why his
he brought us a chip though.
That's why that woman is pregnant by that other man. Yeah. Made that nigga chest cave in. Yeah, I like it. I like it, Giselle. I like it.
Tom is doing just fine. Shout out to Tom.
All right, so
Tampa Tom.
I'm with Breeze on this. If you gonna we all should believe in what we believe in, but at the same time, don't backtrack. Don't backpedal from it. So that's one. I agree with Breeze on that. You have to stand on whatever you believe in, right or wrong. That's what you are. That's what you are. Now, I don't know if anybody checked them in the locker room or what have you. We're not privy to that information. At the same time, if Asha is saying that you're not allowed to do anything political or wear anything political during an interview or during the game, the NFL definitely needs to be called out on it. I agree. And maybe there's going to be a fine or something that comes out this week. But if that information is true, yeah, he should be fined for it. But I'm with you, Breeze. Believe in what you want to believe in, but when you get called out publicly on it, answer and stand on it publicly. That's that's that on that.
Yeah, that's always been my stance. If you man enough to wear it, be man enough to stand on it. Be man enough to back it. And that's whether you agree with what I agree in or not. Just in general, right? That's anything. Whatever you believe in, just be willing to stand on it, especially if you're going to put it in people's face, because nobody sought you out. He really was interrupting somebody else's interview.
Right.
It wasn't even your interview, big dog. We wasn't even here to talk to you.
Right.
And you put this in people's face. So now be willing to stand on it. Or maybe because of the rule, he wanted to kind of try and sweep it under the rug, and he's trying to duck that fine. I don't know. But it's out there now, so stand on it.
I need to see a fine though.
Right, exactly. I definitely do too, especially if you still got Aaron Rodgers out here playing. So that means Kaepernick is still playing because he paying like hot garbage as well. So
you can't gripe about Aaron 2 weeks in a row.
Aaron?
Yeah, you griped about him last week.
It's her
really
gripe.
I gripe about him last week. I just said the man's is sorry. He got Devontae Adams. You bad for him. Y'all traded my dog for a pack of Skittles.
They did. They both look mid.
Well,
they mid.
They both look mid.
That's a good transition though, because we're going to talk about the Jets.
Definitely going to talk about the Jets.
Before we jump into the Jets, I don't want to cut you off on your gripe. Go ahead.
So the last part of this is the Texas Tech kicker. That's why you're the kicker. That's why you would never make it out of Texas Tech. That's why you play for Texas Tech.
Sheesh.
That's exactly why you play for Texas Tech, because you lame.
That's somebody's child.
I don't care. I talk about DJ U like this. Remember, I was about to add DJ U daddy, but you told me not to. So anyway, Reese Bookart, whatever your name is, that's why you play for Texas Tech, and that's why you would never, ever, 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 ever make it out of Texas Tech, because you sorry and you're the kicker.
Sheesh, that's personal.
You know Fitzy. You're not Fitzy. You're no.
Well, at the end of this, you might well say, "I'm Asha, and I approve this message."
This is a non-political show, darn it.
I'm not making it political.
I'm messing with you.
You had that dirty behind tank top on with Trump on. Like, you couldn't even wash the t-shirt before you even put that mess on there. I'm sure Trump would appreciate a washed t-shirt. But anyway, that was Oscar Gripes of the week. I see next week with another grape.
As
Oh,
always,
my bad. I won my fantasy again this week. I am 5-2.
There you go. You beating up on other people's wives still? You cheating.
hey man,
Y'all
hey, can I
kept me
get
out
my
of it. Y'all
assist though?
kept me out
Can
of
I
y'all
get my
fantasy this
assist?
year.
Can I get my assist on
Shout
that
out
dub?
to for telling me to put Lad McConaughey. Is that his name?
Lad McConkey.
McConkey. Onto my team. I need a receiver because I had Mike Evans as my receiver. Obviously, Mike is hurt, so I had to put him on the bench. He's on the bench. I'm not trading him. Don't ask me. I'm not trading him for nobody. Maybe Lamar, but still, that's still a big.
Anybody trade Lamar?
Yeah,
I'm not giving up Michael, so he's on my bench. So I just need a receiver for this week. Probably gonna keep him on there for next week. I'm not sure. Either do some
research. Some talking to your husband.
Huh?
Cheat. Huh?
I wasn't necessarily cheating. I was just asking.
Mm-hmm.
Lad gave her 2 tutties.
I mean, because first of all, Mike wasn't supposed to be hurt. He wasn't supposed to be out. Like T. Higgins is also out, so I don't know what's going on with my receivers. I have no idea. It just keeps saying "oh Q, oh Q." I don't know what this is.
I mean, they mean bench. I mean bench him.
Well, shout out to you. You got the dub. Are you in first place?
I'm in second place. It's a one of the wives on there. I shouldn't say wife, even though she's a wife, but she's undefeated. So
might be a husband. You never know.
Mm.
Listen,
second place ain't number 4 loser. You need to tighten up.
Listen, don't you worry about me.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
I got
Well,
all
you
right.
left me out of y'all fancy dishes, so I can whoop up on y'all, but it's okay.
Lucky.
We got next season. It's okay.
We got next season for sure.
Go ahead and close us out.
Oh, I already said it. I'll be back with another gripe. Angel Reese looked fabulous this week. Oh, I love her. She's dear to my heart. Love her real bad. But that is Asha's gripe for the week. I might be back next week with another gripe. Oh, so Tua didn't want to wear the Guardian just to come out here.
And he slid.
I thought you was gonna gripe about that.
He slid. He didn't get hurt. And he slid. It was a really good slide too. It looked quality. It was a quality slide.
It looked like he been practicing. Oh,
100%.
Oh, he gonna dive. He gonna dive head first again before the season over with.
Or he not. Stop that.
That head gonna be bouncing off.
You about to get her started all over again.
No, I'm good. But my last question for real. Did y'all see on the baseball game where they hit the ball to the outfield. Mookie Betts jumped up, caught the ball, and the Yankees fan took the ball out of the glove.
No, I didn't see that.
No.
So the Mookie Betts had his hand up with a glove, like cupped the ball with the glove. The fan pried his glove open to get the ball out, to knock the ball out of his glove.
Still out though, right?
The player is still out. Also, the fan got kicked out of the game.
Oh yeah, okay. He got
and he didn't leave with the ball.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, they think he was trying to take the glove.
No. He was trying to take the ball out, knock the ball away to show he didn't catch it. But he had it. He had it. I don't know why he did all of that. Because he had it.
Too.
Huh?
He still lost too.
Yeah.
Speaking of baseball.
But why would you do that to get put out of the game? I didn't know they put him out of the game.
Oh, you gotta go. Yeah, you can't interfere with the game, with the field of play. No, you gotta go, bro.
You don't pay all that money?
Bye-bye.
They say he might get banned for life too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Peace.
Really?
Yes.
Not the balloons.
And the balloons. Yeah, you out of here, big dog. Yo, I'm safe.
Yeah, I didn't know that. But yes, I was one of you. I saw that. But yes. Okay. That's it for real. Peace out, guys.
All right. Well, I'll let you next week.
Peace.
Peace.
It's always fun having Asha. It's gonna be a touch of controversy every now and then.
Every time.
It's always exciting,
All
to
spice.
have her on.
All spice.
Spicy bag, heavy spicy bag.
Every time.
It's funny she mentioned baseball, man. I put a parlay in for Aaron Judge to get 1 hit.
Bro, he's
got 0 hits mid 8th inning right now.
Bro, Aaron Judge has been stinking it up. I read an article about him on The Athletic today about just like how bad he's been. It's been not great. So, but the fact that they have 6 runs without him, they're up 6-4 in the bottom of the 8th. So, shout out to them for that because he hasn't been good, and he's
Yeah.
like the leader of the team. So,
All right. Back
a
to
lot of
football.
baseball for us. Yeah, back to football.
So Asha touched on the Jets, man. They went down again to the New England Patriots of all teams, 25-22, led by Aaron Rodgers. He's got his guy in Devontae Adams. He's got 2 good receivers. One's, I think, potential Hall of Famer, and then in Garrett Wilson, a younger, talented kid who I mentioned I didn't think was a number 1 guy. He's got the offense, Brees Hall in the backfield. What else does Aaron Rodgers need to succeed, or is he washed at this point?
I do think Aaron Rodgers is washed. I think he also should have just walked away when he had the opportunity. You went to a program, an organization that doesn't know really that doesn't know how to win. They're not aligned from top to bottom. And to win in professional sports, you need alignment. And the Jets don't have it. They haven't had it. They don't draft well. They don't develop well. They don't build out the roster well. There's no clear cut who's in charge. You came in and y'all fired a coach, not even halfway through the season. That just says what type of organization they got going on over there. And the fact that Devontae Adams was breaking his neck to also get over there, they're all getting what they deserve, in my opinion. I'm not surprised that the Jets are beating the Jets. I've said it once, I'll say it a million times. Bad teams stay bad for a reason. And usually it's because there isn't clear direction in terms of who are the decision makers. The Jets have a organizational problem. I don't care who they get. They can go get, you know, prime Jerry Rice and prime whoever, you're still the Jets. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but for my entire lifetime, the Jets are the Jets. I'm not surprised. It is what it is, man. And I don't understand why these people were in a rush to get over there. It's like going to the Knicks. The Knicks are the Knicks. Not trying to,
Yeah.
dump on the city, even though New York City broke a record for the first
Yeah, I
metro
seen
city.
that.
You seen that to be
Yeah.
the first metro city to lose on the same day in MLB, in NFL, in NBA, and an MLS game, which how
And
New
I
York.
hope there's no New Yorkers actually watching right now, but it's so fitting that New York was the city that it happened to because they're so braggadocious, they're so cocky, and for them to be the first city to have that record, it's kinda a humbling pill, which will probably
It
never
won't.
happen because they're
It
New
won't.
Yorkers.
Nope.
But it's kind of funny because that's the city that it should happen to.
Yeah. I'm all for it.
Yeah. But there's nothing you could do, and I'm with you. There's really it's top down at this point. You could amass as much talent as you want. If I'm Sauce, I'm out of there whenever my contract's up. If I'm trying to win the championship. If I'm Brees, I'm out of there. Because
Oh,
they're
hockey.
the structure of this thing isn't built properly. You could even the Bucks aren't winning as we should, but organizationally wise, we are built the right way. And I think you could take a page out of Tampa Bay, even hell, even New England. They haven't been winning,
Steelers.
but
Look at the
Steelers,
Steelers.
yeah,
There's never no controversy around who's in charge up there in Pittsburgh. And
right,
even when the fans start getting upset and they start grumbling and talking that craziness, then the people tell you, y'all better calm down. Mike Tomlin ain't going nowhere.
right,
We're in charge. We know what we're doing. Fall in line and we'll get things together because, again, they know what they're doing. They're a winning organization.
right. Big Ben will never get Mike Tomlin fired, but Aaron Rodgers, he could get a coach fired. It speaks to your organization from the top.
100%.
Um, The Cincinnati Bengals, they just keep losing. They lost again to the Eagles.
You got to answer for this one. Them your people. It was your man.
It's my man's,
It was your man.
they lost 37-17, man. I there's I don't even know what to say about this team because again, it's an organizational thing. The Bengals have been the Bengals for years. Um, They've got the talent. You got the receiver, you got the quarterback. But what you've always been saying, the one thing that they needed to address, whether it's in the free agency market or in the draft, they're just acting like it's not a problem. It's like your roof is leaking in a house and you just put a bucket out and just keep walking around it. You know,
Yes.
there's a left tackle issue. You're not addressed. There's no, not a left tackle. There's an offensive line issue that's not being addressed, but you have a prize quarterback that you want to make plays. You have your receivers, but you and I know it starts up front. Football is won in the trenches. If your trenches aren't solidified, it doesn't matter what type of pieces you have around it. You're never going to win games. And I think until they address the trenches, specifically on the offensive side of the ball, they're just going to keep going up in flames, and they're going to waste Joe Burrow's prime. You have to protect them. You're not going to win any games not protecting Joe Burrow. I don't care if you re-sign Jamar Chase, you find a way to re-sign T. Higgins. You're not going anywhere until you protect your prized possession.
People said I was a cockeyed madman when I was upset about them taking Jamar Chase over Penei Sewell, and they made that Super Bowl run, and people told me I was a goofball. Clearly, your most important asset is Joe Burrow. He is very, very good. He is elite. Yeah. I'll say it. Joe Burrow is elite. You have to protect the most important thing in your possession. Give that man an offensive line. Like, I don't understand why this is such a hard concept.
He took you to the Super Bowl without one.
Without one. So then
I think that was the issue.
And you're probably right. It was the fact that they found some success without a legitimate line. Then they said, well, we don't really need one then. Bro, that's not how football is played. Football is a very simple game. People want to make it complicated. Football is a very simple game. You have to win up front, like you just said. If you can't win up front consistently, you won't win games consistently. And I don't know who's going to have to come along and do it, but somebody needs to tell the Bengals, this is how you win football. Their D-line's good. You put money into the D-line. Why won't you put that type of money or that type of investment into scouting, drafting, and develop on the offensive line as well? I don't get it. I just don't.
It's going to be a reoccurring theme. And I guess in this segment, it starts top down. The owner, GM, all the way down. And if you don't identify it, and fans have to identify it for you, that doesn't bode well for your organization.
Meanwhile, you see the team that did take Penei Sewell in the Detroit Lions look like the best team in football, potentially. Poised to make another D Ran. They've invested in that line a lot. Dan Campbell got them in there biting off kneecaps. They run the ball at will. They throw it over the top with Jameson Williams and Amon-Ra, but they build it from the inside out. They built it up front first, and then they built out from there. You got to do it up front, man. It's not that hard. It's not a difficult concept.
No shortcuts.
Nope.
Lastly, for the struggling bunch, we should name this segment the Struggling Bunch. The Cowboys, they weren't them boys again this week. They lost 30-24 to the San Francisco 49ers. It's trouble in the Big D, man.
Who had one receiver with pneumonia? All the receivers are hurt, and the one they had is fresh off of a hospital visit with pneumonia. So y'all lose to these people.
The fact that Derrick Henry is in Baltimore flourishing when you had the opportunity to sign him in the offseason, but this organization is run by a psychotic owner that thinks he knows so much about football, where I don't think at this point he will hire people that's more intelligent than him or knows the game and just give them the keys to the car. He has to be so hands-on to where everything implodes on a year-to-year basis based on the decisions that he makes. Because the fact that Derrick Henry was out there for you to get, and you're starting Dalvin Cook and Ezekiel Elliott, a washed Ezekiel Elliott on this team it's insane to me. And then you paid Dak $240 million to have him look like trash out there, and you paid CD. What's going on in Dallas?
You just said it. The owner won't get out of his own way. Jerry Jones. I have a mentor of mine who always facetiously makes the comment, because he's actually incredibly smart. He says if he's the smartest person in the room, he's in the wrong room. But it takes a certain humility to understand that. It takes a certain, way of looking at oneself and understanding your limitations. And it's clinically insane to continue to be the one making the decisions and continuing to fail. Like, you're literally flushing money down the toilet because you won't get out of your own way. That's a shame. And I hate to see people doing that because clearly Jerry Jones is an intelligent individual. You don't get that rich without having a certain level of intelligence or just hard work or whatever it is.
Or
He has
listening to people.
yeah, but come on, man. What are we doing? Get out of your own way. Hire some people who know better than you. Get out of the way. You literally just look across the street at Mark Cuban. Like, that's all you need. Look how Mark Cuban runs the Dallas Mavericks. He's literally across the street. He gives those people the resources they need to go make good decisions. And he's got rings to his name because of it. It's not that hard, man. I don't know why people make life harder than it has to be. But Jerry Jones is one of those people. He's going to die on his laurels, which, you know what? Maybe in a certain way, I can respect that. I said earlier, if you're going to believe in something and stand on it, he's standing on it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he's also going to die on it because
It's almost similar to Al Davis and the Raiders. Al Davis just couldn't get out of his own way. He would hire or he would draft guys like Darius Hayward Bay. He just believed in just the fastest players, not talent. Just give me the fastest players.
yeah.
So it's
Hate to
just
see it.
got to get out your own way. And again, it's just top down. And out of those three teams, though, do you see any of those three teams kind of turning it around before this season and maybe make a playoff run?
If I had to pick a team of those three to turn it around, I think it's Dallas because I do feel like Dallas is doing good things. They just can't play a complete game. I think they do have a lot of talent. I'm a Dak Prescott fan. I always have been. I think he's very talented. CeeDee Lamb is just a monster in general. I think they can still do enough offensively. The defense has got to play better. They got to be way more disciplined. But I think Dallas probably has the best opportunity to do it. Also because the AFC is just really, really tough.
Right.
The Bengals are in a very, very tough spot from a divisional standpoint too. So if it's going to be a team to do it out of that bunch, I'm probably going with the Cowboys.
Okay. I'm with you on that. I think Cowboys, from just a talent perspective, they're still really talented. They just gotta put it together, and it starts with Dak. And Dak, he's still with talent. He's not like he's lost his talent. He's still got guys around him that can make plays. He's just got to go out there and just make those plays. So yeah, I don't see Aaron Rodgers and the Jets figuring it out. And as much as I like Jamar Chase, if you can't protect your quarterback, you're not getting the ball. You might have your weeks where you go off, but against a good D line, I don't see the Cincinnati Bengals doing anything.
I agree.
All right, before we move on, you want to touch on Pump ain't here to talk about his Bears. He's not able to drink victory wine. So, and it's unfortunate how that game went down. And I gotta give your guy who went to the U some gripe on that last play, man. He's celebrating with the crowd. He's telling them to go home. The game's over. This is why they tell you from Little League all the way up, you play until the last whistle. You never give up in the game in the game of football, man. You never give up until you hear that final whistle. And that was a unprecedented win by the Washington Commanders. And Jaden Daniels, he's starting to build a case for himself as the Rookie of the Year, man. And you went head to head against the first overall pick. He probably thought he was the better guy, and head to head, he's 1-0 right now. And hats off to that team, the Reds. I want to say the Redskins,
the football
Commanders, the football people. They're looking really good right now, led by that young rookie, man. Shout out to them.
He's a stud. Shout out to Jaden. Shout out to that.
They got it right.
I think they got some good pieces around him too. I think they definitely. I think they got it right. I think Caleb Williams still deserved to be the first overall pick. I think that was fine, and it's not a knock on Caleb to say that Jaden is playing so well. And I want to say this game is fluky, but man, like if there's going to be a team to lose like that, is it not the Bears? Like, is it not?
I would have said the Cowboys because this is very Cowboy-like.
Nah, I expect the Cowboys to lose on a turnover or like to have a chance to win it and just like fumble it away somehow. Like that's a Cowboys thing to do. This is a Bears way of losing a game. The Bears they just find ways to lose games. They've been doing it for quite a while. Somebody put together a montage of different ways the Bears have lost in heartbreaking fashion. This just kind of fits right into it. But, it was a competitive game. I thought defensively the Bears played a really, really good game because the Commanders have been putting up points on everybody. and the Bears held them to what would have been 12 points. They're up 15-12. You held a high-powered offense to 12 points. Just couldn't get it done on the last play, and that's a tough way to lose. But but these are those are the games. And if Pump was here, I'd probably ask him about it. Like when you talk about, and he said that he thinks they could be a playoff team. I don't know if it was this year or next year. You can't lose those though, especially in the way the rest of your division looks for the Bears. You can't lose that game. You gotta win those ones. Those are the swing games.
Yeah.
So losing that game, I think, is going to be tough, and they're really going to be kicking themselves later in the year for it.
Yeah, and I still think they're a potential wild card team. And if you look at that game, they shouldn't have lost that game. If that play happens 10 out of 10 times, it maybe hits once. So to lose that game, you don't expect that. And I like that defense, man. And I'm not big on Caleb, but he's got some weapons on the outside. The running game is doing enough with Swift. So, I think they could potentially make a run here.
I think it'll get there. I don't think this is the year, but next year, if they can bolster the offensive line a little bit more, I think they can get there. They got a lot of good pieces, though.
All right. Well, let's close it out with our Bucks, man. I don't know how much we want to dive into this. We don't have our two guys. We went down again to the Dirty Birds. The Atlanta Falcons beat us 31-26. Second time this season. Atlanta takes sole position of first place in the South, and we're looking at trying to fight for a wild card spot at this point. Yep. What do you take away from that game? I know we're not loaded on the outside anymore. We're shorthanded. Cade had a hell of a game. I started him this week. Gave me 20 points. Side note. It was National Tight Ends Day, right?
Yeah.
And there was a crazy stat. 15 touchdowns by 13 different tight ends on National Tight End Day. When people say that the game is rigged, that's what I allude to. How does that happen on National Tight End Day? What kind of coincidence is that? 15 touchdowns by 13 different tight ends.
No, you're not wrong. I was playing against David Njoku, I think in 2 leagues. He went off. I have Kelsey in 2 leagues. He went off.
Kyle Pitts went
off. Kyle Pitts bummy self goes off. Yeah, no, it does give off rigged on National Tight Ends Day that the tight ends literally just go off. So yeah, I don't know. As far as the game though, it sounds very loserish, but I'm going to say it anyway. I thought it was a gutsy game by the Bucks. Now on the offense, the defense, putrid. That might be our worst showing yet this season. And I know we gave up more points in a couple other games. This might have been the worst showing yet. Like literally just the breakdowns and assignments are just ridiculous. It looks like high school stuff, man. Like this is elementary stuff. Guys are just not playing as a unit. The back end is just all over the place. It's ridiculous. But I will say, I think Baker played a very gutsy game. Other guys on the offense did step up. You did score 26 points still. And it ended up being a 1-possession game. The game probably wasn't that close in actuality, but I thought the offense did some good things, and I was happy to see those guys fighting the way that they did, understanding you don't have the 2 best players on the team.
Right.
Well, 2 of your best players, because you could argue Vita Vea and Antoine Winfield.
Offensively.
Offensively, you have the thing that makes your offense go. This offense goes the way it does because of Mike Evans and because of Chris Godwin. But those other guys scrapped and they stepped up and they did the best they could. There were spurts though where those receivers were just clamped. Those receivers were handcuffed. But shout out to Cade Otton stepping up. You hope that can continue. Mike Evans, they're saying now is going to be out beyond the bye, so he's going to be out several more games. Hope that you can just continue to try and build on that. You got a rough stretch. This is also the toughest stretch of the season too, so it couldn't have come at a worse time. But continue to fight. Maybe you can steal 1 or 2, and then you guys can get a little healthier. Maybe you can be a wild card team.
So for me,
be a wild card team.
Yeah. So for me, we didn't run the ball enough, and with the stretch that we have ahead of us, without our 2 best offensive weapons, you have to lean on the running game a lot more. And I think this year, more than any other year, we have the bodies back there to do it. Now, the rotation I would like to be different. give me more of Bucky Irvins and Sean Tucker. We know what we
You
know what
wanna bench
Rashad White.
somebody. You always trying to bench somebody.
I mean, I'm not. Am I wrong? I'm not trying to bench Rashad White, but we know what
Rashad
he
White
is.
played well. I thought he had a good game.
He carried it 6 times for 29 yards. That's nothing to.
But he also caught the ball because we were down. So
He
you
had
gotta be
5
able to throw
catches,
the ball.
38 yards. I mean,
Okay.
that's what he is, though. That's what I'm alluding to. Get
Gotcha.
him the ball out the backfield. He's not a natural runner of the football. Bucky Irvin, he makes plays out the backfield, or running between the tackles and finding those holes. Sean
Right.
Tucker, he's a natural running back, and they're not giving him the opportunities that I think he should get. Rashad White, he's our third down back. We have to kind of lean on our running backs at this point because outside of Cade Otton, they're our best weapons offensively. Like you said, these wide receivers were getting clamped. The fact that Raheem Jarrett, who just came up off the practice squad and led the wide receiver room in receptions, is crazy. So we have to find other ways to win games. And I think that we're creative enough offensively to figure that out without Baker having to throw the ball 50 times. Because if we have to rely on Baker to throw it 50 times a game, we're going to lose more games because, like you always allude to, Baker is going to bake, especially if you give him more opportunities than he needs to. Like, keep him within the 30 attempt range
I
and
mean,
run the football.
but if you get down big, you just can't do that, right? Some of it is game flow. The way the game kind of flows is just gonna dictate, how many times he's gonna have to throw the ball, especially if you're playing catch up.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I'm looking at the offense and it's just there's no teeth to it without Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. So you can be creative and you can try and maybe running the ball, shorten the game, like we talked about earlier. Try to just shorten
Nobody's
the game,
scared.
shorten possessions. Yeah, there's nothing that scares anybody on that offense when you don't have those two guys. So I think it's just going to be tough to consistently move the ball and put up points. And the defense hasn't looked good enough to consistently keep you in games when you can't score.
Yeah.
It's going to be a rough stretch, man.
Todd Bowles was asked after the game, is he willing to give up calling the defensive plays? He said nope. I was extremely disappointed. I cut my TV up.
First of all, the fact that you even attempted to watch a Todd Bowles interview, shame on you because you should have known better.
I'm a fan. I want to hear what
his interview is worse than Darvin Ham. And I know you hated them Darvin scam interviews just as much as I did.
Yeah, man. I don't shout out to the Bucks. Hopefully we make it in the wild card. Anything NFL you want to touch on? You kind of teed us up there for a quick NBA segment, and we'll get up out of here.
Yeah, no, I'm good on the NFL. We can really just briefly give some early NBA thoughts and call it.
Lakers is the best team in the league. That's all, folks. No, who do you think is the best team? Just looking at, we can't even judge the first couple games, but just looking at these rosters, seeing them up, just seeing some real time NBA action.
Way too early.
Who are you impressed with right now?
The Boston Celtics. I hate to say it. I hate the Celtics more than most.
Yeah,
I hate to say it, but they look good. They look like a complete team. The role players just fit right in. Peyton Pritchard went out and tied a franchise record for 3-pointers made in their last game. They beat the Bucks, who don't have Chris Middleton, but still, the Celtics look good, man. I hate to say it. Hopefully, I'm still going to hang on that hope of the Sixers getting healthy and being able to give them a run. I mean, we still haven't seen Paul George and we haven't seen Joel Embiid yet this season. Hopefully, they can get healthy and give them a challenge. Because otherwise, I don't know who's hanging with them in the East.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on that. So I'm gonna go the opposite end. I'm gonna go with the most disappointing team so far, and I'm going with the Heat.
Really,
I'm going with the Heat.
They won last night.
I get it. They won. And maybe it's my parlay.
Oh, okay. That's
I don't think Bam and Jimmy are playing up to par right now, and it's way too early. I thought they would have came out more aggressive, more dominant, and I guess as the season goes on, they kind of mesh. And the history of the Heats, they're more of a late season kind of team where they go on those runs and carry that over into the playoffs. So maybe I'm just reaching on that one, but I'm gonna have to go with the Heat on most disappointing team right now. I am also impressed with, and you mentioned it, the Orlando Magic. or Magic.
Orlando Magic. Orlando
Paolo
Magic.
just dropped 51 the other night,
Yes, he
and
did.
those young boys, they're running and gunning over there, so they'll be impressive to watch this season.
Okay, all right, and the great Wemby is looking like a role player at best again.
Stop it! Y'all didn't want to give him his credit from last year, and now after a couple games, you want to bag on him.
I've been bragging on him ever since he came into the league. That 20 points a game that I'm not impressed with. They said he was going to take the game over. He put up 14 points last night. And why does he think he's a spot up shooter? He shot 5 threes. He was 1 for 5 from 3. This is the second season. You had a whole season. You're supposed to be a generational talent.
Did you know about Giannis in his second season? He's a generational talent.
Now he's Giannis. Is that what we're doing?
He could be Giannis.
Giannis wasn't a first overall pick. Giannis, I didn't get
but
Giannis.
Is he not a generational talent? Answer that.
Where? What's generational about him?
Giannis?
Oh, Giannis or Wemby?
Yeah. No, Giannis. Is he not generational?
Oh yeah, Giannis is.
Okay,
he became that way, but he didn't come in with the hype and the expectations. It's not the same. It's not.
I get it, but you also can't hold him prisoner to his hype.
The greatest prospect since LeBron James is what I was told. That's what I was told.
Experts say a lot of things that'll make it so. I think he has the potential to be one of the greatest.
Okay. All right. He's gonna be he's the greatest rebounder, apparently. That's his special talent. He can rebound very well. He's a real tall Dennis Rodman.
All right, man. With that being said, I'm gonna stay on the Wemby train.
I know.
I think eventually once he develops into he fills out whatever muscles he could put on, he'll be a great player in the league.
He ain't gaining
Essentially a Hall of Famer.
Stop it. Hall of Famer,
right, man. I think that's all we got for this week, man. Nothing else to talk about. My nose aren't good. I'm hanging on to my Duke Blue Devils. Go Duke. We look good. Lakers are looking good. Apparently JJ Redick could coach. So let's see how that matriculates as the season goes on. Your Canes, you're riding high. All your teams are doing fairly good, man.
It's looking real good. Barcelona won El Clasico 4-0.
Lightning won.
Bolts look good out the gate. We knocked off Steven Stamkos and the Preds last night in overtime. So yeah, my teams are kind of up right now. I'm feeling good, which I'm just waiting for it to come crashing down.
Hey man, that's the best feeling as a sports fan when all your teams are doing good. It's never a dull weekend.
Yeah, no, it's been fun. Hopefully keep it going.
I can't say the same. I've been drinking nonstop.
A lot.
All right, man. It's always a pleasure doing a 2-man weave with you. Hopefully we get pumped back next week.
Sure.
But for now, it's been your guy, Unc, the real Unc Shay, not the fake one.
Be clear.
And the man to my right, the one and only Breeze, Turnpike Breeze, South Beach Breeze, Dade County Breeze.
Heisman campaign. I'm promoting.
All right.
I voted.
Boo. All right, man. I don't have a closeout. That was it.